Hello everyone. This is a new series I'm starting that I haven't really seen be done before. I'm going to create individual tier lists for each ADC in the game that covers which supports synergize best with each marksman. There's a million tier lists out there which will tell you which marksmen are best on each patch, but I think it's equally important to understand what ADCs pair best with to have the best chance of dominating your lane. These guides are pointed towards platinum and below players. However, I think anybody can learn more about why they're picking what they're picking, and what exactly each ADC is looking for from their support. Since champion kits stay relevantly the same, these guides should be relevant for you for a long time, unless a champion gets reworked. The first ADC we're going to be tackling is Ezreal. Ezreal's an interesting marksman because he behaves differently than most. He's an independent spellslinger who doesn't rely entirely on his auto attacks for DPS. To figure what supports work best with Ezreal, we have to understand his identity. Ezreal's a champion that has solid early game damage and a strong mid game spike. However, he falls off later in comparison to crit marksmen. Ezreal's excellent in poke comps and with catch champions because of his high burst. When we think about supports Ezreal wants to be paired with, we want to accentuate his strengths. The first characteristic we want is poke. Ezreal can be very oppressive when his lane partner also has access to poke. This also strengthens the poke composition Ezreal ideally desires. Secondarily, we want lockdown from our support. Ezreal's damage is almost entirely consisted of skill shots. By our support providing lockdown, Ezreal's damage is enabled to be guaranteed. Thirdly, we want to take advantage of Ezreal's ability to be safe and farm from a distance. Ezreal's okay with not taking all the farm, but rather cares more about stacking his tier. And since he has a very consistent escape in his kit, this enables roaming supports to be much more effective. Therefore, we want to give bonus points to supports that can roam. Lastly, there's one more thing we should take into consideration. Because of the way Ezreal executes his trading pattern, enemies can easily negate his threat by standing behind minions. Because of this, hook champions are generally weaker because enemies can negate both Ezreal and his support in this case, simply by hiding behind waves. Because of this, we're less inclined to pair with skill shot supports like this, but seeking supports unlike this more valuably. With these points in mind, we can begin our tier list. Please note that these tier lists have no consideration for the current meta in which specific champions are strong. This tier list is simply meant to show what works with Ezreal generally and what does not. So the first champion we're going to look at is Bard. Bard fits every description of what we want with Ezreal. He gets point for poke, point for lockdown, point for roaming, and he gets bonus points because he encourages the enemy to stay away from their minions, which enables Ezreal's poke much better. So it's a lose-lose situation for the enemy no matter what with Bard. Secondly, we can look at Blitzcrank. He has no poke, he has the lockdown, and he has the roam. He also loses half a point for having a skill shot poke. It can just be blocked by minions, so Blitzcrank's not very good with Ezreal. Ashe, she has the poke, but she loses half a point because minions block it. She's only got lockdown at 6, so she can get half a point. And she has no roaming ability, so Ashe is going to rest in D tier. Annie, she has the poke, she has the lockdown, and she has a good roaming ability. She doesn't really care about the minions, so Annie is in S tier. Brand has poke, he has half a point for lockdown. Brand likes AD carries that can set him up for his CC. He doesn't have a reliable way of getting his stun off without some kind of setup. And he has no roaming ability, so Brand is pretty trash with Ezreal. Braum, he gets a point for lockdown, point for roam, and half a point for poke. But the same deal with Blitzcrank. If they stand behind minions, a lot of Braum's threat is gone. However, Braum has other ways of initiating, so we'll leave him in A tier. Galio has the poke, he has the lockdown, and he has the roam. Galio doesn't care about the minion wave, so Galio rests in S tier. Poppy. Poppy has no poke, but she has the lockdown and she has the roam. So Poppy sits in B tier. Morgana. Morgana's got solid poke, solid lockdown, and solid roam. Her Q is blocked by minions, so we'll drop her into A tier. But other than that, she's still a solid support for Ezreal. She fits a lot of what he needs. Alistar, no poke. He has the lockdown, he has the roam. Alistar sits in B tier. Kayle. Kayle has the poke. Not really any lockdown, nor good roam. So Kayle's in D tier. Nami. Nami has good poke. Same problem as Brand has. She needs setup for her bubble, so she only gets half a point for lockdown, and her roaming is pretty garbage, so Nami is in C tier with Ezreal. Nidalee. Nidalee has the poke, but is also blocked by minions, so not even a good point for poke. No roaming, no lockdown. Nidalee's in F tier. Lux. Lux has solid poke, solid lockdown, and I guess her roams are okay. You know, it's kind of like Morgana. She doesn't necessarily encourage you to be away from minions, but she can hit through minions. So we'll leave her in A tier. Leona has no poke, she has the lockdown and the roam. Leona sits in B tier. Rakan has solid lockdown, solid roam, half a point for poke. It is blocked by minions, but I don't think Rakan's poke is necessarily the reason you're picking Rakan, so we're not going to dock a point for him. We'll leave him in A. Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench has decent lockdown. We'll give him half a point for lockdown, half a point for poke, because it is blocked by minions. And then roaming, he does have solid roaming, so we'll put him in B tier. Also, Ezreal doesn't really need the safety that Tahm Kench provides. He's not a very necessary pick for Ezreal. Senna. Senna has solid poke, solid lockdown. Give her half a point for roaming, but she also gets docked up because Senna does really well when people are hiding behind minions, so she complements Ezreal's style in lane. Karma. Karma has solid poke. We'll give her half a point. She only has, well, I mean, she has that slow and the root. We'll give her a whole point for it. Roaming, give her half a point. But I also think she should go down half a point because her Q is also blocked by minions, so we'll put her in B tier. Lulu. Lulu's got poke. She has no lockdown that really keeps somebody in place. She has a slow, we'll give her half a point. Her roam is pretty bad, so we'll leave Lulu in C tier. Shen. Shen's got no poke, but he has lockdown, he has roam. Shen sits in B tier. Thresh. He's got a little bit of poke. I'll give him a point for lockdown, half a point for poke, point for roaming, but we also need to take off half a point because he's easily blocked by minions. Taliyah. Taliyah's got point for poke, point for lockdown, point for roaming. Her poke is negated by minions, but not her way of engaging with the enemy. Taliyah doesn't necessarily need to just throw Q. We'll take off half a point, but she's still an A tier champion with Ezreal. Sona. Sona's got the poke. Her lockdown only comes from her ultimate, so we can give her half a point. but it doesn't really help Ezreal in lane. It does help with all-ins though. And roaming, she does have ult roams. She is fairly fast, but besides that, she just sits in B tier. Ornn's got lockdown. He's got at 6. He's got solid roam. Give him half a point for roaming, half a point for poke, and leave him there. Pantheon's got lockdown. He's got roam. And poke, I mean, he only has his Q, but it is pretty good. We'll put him in A tier. Xerath. Xerath is such a garbage support, honestly. He doesn't fit with most AD carries in lane with what they really want. He's got the poke. Lockdown, he gets half a point. It's blocked by minions again. And he has no roaming ability. We'll put him in C tier. Let's see what else we got. Teemo's got poke, but other than that, he's got nothing else going for him. D tier. Zyra's got the poke, she's got the lockdown, she has half decent roams. She is not forced away from minions. We'll put her in A tier. Trundle, if he's still around. He's got lockdown, he's got good roam, but he has no poke. We'll put him in B tier. Nautilus, he's got the lockdown, he's got the roam, he's got no poke, and he's blocked by minions. He goes in C tier. Soraka's got the poke. She gets half a point for lockdown. She's got no roaming ability. C tier. Pyke's got the lockdown, the roam. He loses half a point because once again blocked by minions. His threat's negated. Poke wise, I think he's got decent poke because he can Q so many times. His mana costs are so low. It's almost like he's a bit of a poke champion. But B tier's as high as he'll go. Zac gets the lockdown, he gets the roam, half a point for poke. It is blocked by minions, but his engage is not. Put him in B tier. Nico's got the poke, she's got the lockdown, she's got the roam too. Put her in S tier. If only she was a good champion. But the Nico support mains, I'm sure, enjoy her very much. Vel'Koz got the poke, he got the lockdown. Roam will give him half a point. I'll also give him up a point because Vel'Koz has a weird Q, and it gets behind minions. It makes enemies run around wildly. Ezreal can then get opportunities to trade as well. Vel'Koz works very well with him. Yuumi is interesting. She gets a poke point. She gets half a point for lockdown. Because it's only with her ult, really. Her Q is semi-decent. Doesn't really keep him in place, though. But, she does stir up people behind minions, I guess. We'll give her a full point. Roaming. We can give her a roaming point as well because she's not roaming by herself really, but if there's a better person to be on, like a fed jungler, she can just leave Ezreal, and Ezreal will be okay on his own. Well, assuming they're not inting. She's actually S+ tier, because she also gets a point for being matched with a champion that can keep her safe. Yuumi wants to be with champions with mobility so that they can both navigate her ult and so she doesn't die on them. So Yuumi's an S tier. Veigar's got the poke, he's got the lockdown, and I'll give him half a point for roaming. He's really slow, but when he gets there, he's got his cage, he's got damage. And also, he can poke behind minions, so that's good too. Shaco's got poke, doesn't care about minions. He's got the roam. I'll give him half a point for a lockdown, because he doesn't really get to choose how it happens. People have to walk into his traps. Fiddlesticks, he's got poke, lockdown, and roam. S tier. Okay, we're almost done. Tarek, he's got lockdown. He's not very fast. He doesn't have a long range thing, so like his roam's only half good. He's got no poke besides his E. C tier. Even though Tarek and Ezreal is legendary, we all know. Scion, lockdown, roam, half a point for poke. And it disencourages standing behind minions, so S tier with Scion. Zillion, poke, lockdown, good roam, S tier. Volibear, no poke, he's got lockdown, he's got roam, B tier. Set's got no poke, he's got lockdown, he's got roam, B tier. Let's see, are we missing anybody? Gragas has poke. He's got lockdown. He's also got roam. S tier. Jenna's got poke. Lockdown. We'll give her half a point because it's kind of hard to hit, I guess. Yeah, we'll give her half a point. Roam's half a point too. B tier. Jarvan's got lockdown and roam and half a point for poke. Sounds good. Let's see. We missing anybody? Maokai's got poke, he's got lockdown, and he's got roam. S tier. Miss Fortune's not still a support, is she? I think we're almost done. Swain's got poke, lockdown, and he can. I'll give him half a point for roam. A tier. And I think that does it. This is your Ezreal tier list. We got a solid spread. S, A, and B tier. There's a lot of champions that work with Ezreal, and there's also a lot of champions that don't work as well as you might think. Personally, I recommend only sticking with S and A tier champions when you're figuring out what to pair in line. Anything in B tier, you can make it work, but it's not optimal, and anything below B tier, I'd recommend not playing Ezreal with at all. That was my first tier list. I hope I can make a bunch more, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching.